Crestwood University, a sprawling academic sanctuary, presented itself as a bastion of safety, its blue light trail a shimmering promise of protection for every student. Here, ambition buzzed in sunlit quads and late-night libraries, nurturing brilliant minds like Sarah Jenkins, whose passion for the cosmos mirrored the boundless possibilities of her own future. The soft, rhythmic crunch of leaves underfoot on her nightly walk home was a melody of peace, a testament to the trust she placed in her surroundings. Yet even in this meticulously guarded haven, a sinister intent can find purchase, twisting the familiar into a landscape of terror. The very beacons meant to ward off danger, casting their sapphire glow into the night, would soon illuminate a profound betrayal, a shattering of the unspoken covenant between institution and innocent. How could a place so dedicated to enlightenment become shrouded in such impenetrable darkness, leaving behind only the chilling echoes of a promise irrevocably broken? Crestwood University, often presented as a bastion of intellect and sanctuary, had meticulously cultivated an image of unblemished tranquility. Its sprawling grounds, a verdant tapestry of venerable academic structures and vibrant student activity, stood as a beacon of higher learning and personal evolution. Central to this perceived haven was the blue light trail, an interwoven grid of emergency call boxes, each radiating a distinctive sapphire glow. These installations were more than mere infrastructure. They served as the university's visible guarantee of student safety, a promise of immediate assistance, activated by a simple touch, fostering a profound sense of security that permitted students to move freely across campus even as twilight surrendered to night. Within these resonant halls, where the air hummed with the quiet industry of scholarship and the bright chatter of youthful camaraderie, resided Sarah Jenkins. A junior of exceptional promise, Sarah delved deep into the complex, awe-inspiring realm of astrophysics. Her days unfolded as a vivid tapestry woven from equations that sought to unravel the universe's grand design. Countless hours spent beneath the hushed reverence of the library's focused light and spirited debates with her peers in the bustling quad. Sarah was, in essence, the very spirit of Crestwood's most cherished ideals, intellectually incandescent, brimming with an infectious zest for life, and possessing a deeply compassionate spirit that drew others into her orbit. Her laughter, a cascade of genuine joy, often echoed through common spaces, and her eyes, when she spoke of distant constellations or the mysteries of dark matter, held a galaxy of wonder. She projected an innate warmth, her presence a steady anchor for her circle of friends. Her nightly return, a familiar, reassuring cadence along the blue light trail, was a path worn smooth by habit. This ritual transcended a mere commute. It was an affirmation of her absolute trust in the campus environment, a testament to the profound security she felt within the university's enveloping embrace. Thousands of miles away, her parents Carol and David Jenkins found their own peace in this steadfast routine. They would drift off to sleep, their minds unburdened, certain their cherished daughter was enveloped by Crestwood's protective watch. Her future, a boundless expanse of unexplored possibilities, shimmered before her, a constellation waiting for her to chart. Yet beneath this placid surface, unseen threads of malice were already weaving, poised to unravel the very fabric of that cherished security. The crisp October air, typically invigorating and sharp with the scent of fallen leaves, carried an unusual chill on this particular Thursday evening. Just past 11:30 p.m., Sarah Jenkins, emerged from the hushed quiet of the Crestwood University Library, her backpack a familiar weight of textbooks. She exchanged a quick, weary smile with the departing night librarian, the building's stark fluorescent glow briefly illuminating her face. Her path was a deeply ingrained habit, a well-worn stretch of the acclaimed blue light trail, intended for a direct return to her dormitory Maple Hall. The soft, rhythmic crunch of dry leaves beneath her sneakers was for a few moments the only sound to break the campus's late-night stillness. Each sapphire-hued emergency pole she passed cast long, fluid shadows that danced subtly with the breeze, a fleeting visual comfort. Her hand instinctively found her phone, thumbs flying across the screen as she composed a brief message to her roommate, Chloe, confirming her imminent arrival. Almost there. Long night, need sleep low. A quick whispered call followed a brief check-in with her mother, Carol, ending with the familiar tender words, "Love you, Mom, talk tomorrow." These mundane actions formed a tableau of routine of life unfolding as expected. Then a subtle disquiet began to settle over the serene campus. A shadow detached itself from the ancient oak trees, bordering the path, a flicker too substantial for wind-stirred foliage, a figure momentarily silhouetted against a distant campus building. In an instant, it was gone, absorbed by the deepening night. Sarah might have shivered, instinctively pulling her scarf tighter, perhaps dismissing the sudden cold as simply the late hour or a stronger gust. Her last confirmed glimpse came from a grainy security camera near the campus green. It captured her slender silhouette, moving purposefully under the stark luminescence of a blue light before she rounded a gentle bend and was swallowed by the surrounding darkness. Back in Maple Hall, Chloe, initially only mildly annoyed by Sarah's prolonged absence, felt her impatience slowly curdle into a raw knot of worry. The minutes stretched, elongating into an hour, then two. Sarah's phone, typically a lifeline of instant replies, remained stubbornly silent. Outside her window, the comforting blue glow of the emergency light, once a quiet assurance, now seemed to pulse with an unspoken dread, its steady light reflecting Chloe's growing panic. The campus, once a symbol of inviolable safety, held its breath, poised on the edge of a horrifying realization. The quiet hum of the campus, usually a gentle backdrop to the unfolding academic day, was brutally shattered just before dawn. At precisely 4:17 a.m., a frantic, tear-choked call from Chloe, Sarah's roommate, tore through the stillness of the campus security office. Her voice, thin and reedy with terror, reported Sarah's prolonged, uncharacteristic absence. What began as a routine welfare check rapidly escalated into a full-scale search. Uniformed officers, their flashlights cutting stark beams through the pre-dawn gloom, fanned out across the very blue light trail Sarah had walked hours earlier. Their voices, clipped and tense over the radio, pierced the still air. Then, a single strained call reverberated through the police scanner, sending a chilling tremor through every officer listening. "We've got something." Near the Arboretum, just off the main trail, only yards from a blue light call box that Sarah had never reached, concealed within a dense thicket of undergrowth bordering the campus arboretum, a spot once considered unequivocally safe due to its proximity to the main path. Sarah Jenkins's body was discovered. The scene was a stark, brutal tableau against the emerging morning light, the first tentative rays of sun exposing the horrific truth. The quiet dignity of the campus was instantly replaced by a frenzied ballet of crime scene tape flashing red and blue lights, and grim-faced forensic investigators who moved with practiced, somber efficiency. The air hung heavy, thick, with the metallic tang of fear and the profound weight of sudden loss. Detective Mark Riley, a man whose career had been etched with the silent, sorrowful stories of countless victims, arrived with his team. His gaze, trained by decades of tragedy, swept over the scene, absorbing every detail with methodical, almost detached precision. His jaw was set, his eyes betraying no overt emotion, only a deep, penetrating focus. The implications clawed at the minds of everyone present, a visceral assault on the perceived safety of this academic haven. The horror of it was amplified by its setting, a place meticulously designed for security. Sarah lay agonizingly close to an emergency beacon, its promise of aid tragically unfulfilled. Campus, once a vibrant symbol of intellectual freedom and sheltered growth, was now irrevocably transformed. Its sprawling beauty now carried the indelible stain of violence, a chilling new identity as a crime scene where innocence had been brutally betrayed. Detective Mark Riley moved with the seasoned, almost instinctive command of a veteran, his presence a steady anchor amidst the swirling chaos. His eyes devoid of overt emotion, but radiating a sharp, penetrating focus, absorbed the stark reality of the crime scene before him. "Secure perimeter wide," he instructed, his voice low but firm, cutting through the murmuring urgency of initial responders. For Riley and his team, the most immediate gnawing question was a cruel paradox. Sarah Jenkins found murdered just yards from a blue light call box, a system explicitly designed to prevent such tragedies. The silent query hung in the cold pre-dawn air. Why had she not activated it? The initial forensic sweep of the scene yielded little beyond frustration. The soft earth around the arboretum's edge, already disturbed by the necessary actions of emergency personnel, offered scant, unambiguous evidence. No weapon, no clear indicators of a prolonged, overt struggle. It was as if Sarah had simply dissolved from the well-lit path, only to reappear lifeless within the dense undergrowth. The scene remained unsettlingly pristine, a testament to either a perpetrator of chilling meticulousness or an act of terrifying, abrupt violence. Riley immediately tasked his junior partner, Detective Lena Sharma, with orchestrating a massive campus-wide canvass. They interviewed Sarah's distraught roommate, Chloe, whose testimony offered little beyond her spiraling dread and the haunting silence of Sarah's last unanswered text. Professors, stunned by the news, spoke of Sarah's intellectual brilliance, her unwavering dedication, and her boundless potential, details that only amplified the profound sense of loss. Every security camera across the sprawling campus became a focal point. Hours of grainy, silent footage were tirelessly scrutinized by fatigued officers, searching for any anomaly, an unfamiliar face, a suspicious vehicle, a fleeting shadow out of place. Each passing hour yielded only more dead ends, solidifying the grim realization that Sarah had vanished from the surveillance grids as completely as she had vanished from the physical world. The blue light trail, once a symbol of peace and unassailable security, now seemed to mock their desperate efforts. Its silent, broken promise cast long, accusatory shadows across the grounds. Pressure from the university administration intensified with each passing hour, their demands for answers amplified by the terrified whispers circulating among the student body. The campus, typically bustling with life, now felt gripped by a chilling silence, the collective fear, a palpable, suffocating presence. For Detective Riley, the case began to feel like attempting to locate a single star in an impossibly vast black sky, its true coordinates obscured by an unseen devious force. The path to the truth remained hidden, tantalizingly close, yet frustratingly out of reach. With each passing day, the initial surge of frantic activity surrounding Sarah Jenkins's murder had settled into a grim, methodical grind. The pervasive lack of any concrete lead began to wear heavily on the investigative team, a silent, corrosive force eroding their resolve. "We need something, anything to break this open, Detective," Riley murmured the words tight in his jaw to Detective Lena Sharma. They sat amid stacks of dead-end interview transcripts, the stagnant air in the precinct office thickening with unspoken frustration. Riley ran a hand over his tired eyes, the faint lines around them etched deeper by the relentless hours. The breakthrough, when it finally manifested, was not a sudden dramatic roar, but a subtle, persistent whisper rising from the digital background. A surveillance camera discreetly mounted on the exterior wall of the Daily Grind, a popular coffee shop frequented by Crestwood students, a few blocks off campus, had captured a fleeting anomaly. The footage itself was a challenge pixelated, shrouded in low-resolution haze, almost consumed by the visual noise of the aging system. Yet for a fraction of a second, a dark-colored sedan, a common make unremarkable in its silhouette, could be distinctly seen cruising slowly past the narrow alleyway connecting directly to the Arboretum's less-used entrance. The timestamp, a precise 11:47 p.m., placed its presence within minutes of Sarah's last confirmed location on campus. It offered no identifiable license plate, no discernible face behind the wheel, but it provided a crucial vehicle type, and for the first time a narrow, tantalizing window of opportunity. Concurrently, a painstaking second sweep of the crime scene was reaching its conclusion. This meticulous effort was spearheaded by a veteran forensic technician famed within the department for his almost obsessive attention to detail. He worked with the patient precision of a scholar, sifting through layers of damp leaves and disturbed soil. His diligence yielded a critical piece of physical evidence embedded deep within the resilient fibers of Sarah's denim jacket. Almost invisible to the naked eye lay a single peculiar synthetic fiber. Its texture was undeniably unusual, its muted, almost industrial gray hue instantly marking it as distinct from Sarah's own clothing or any natural material found in the Arboretum. The fiber was carefully extracted, meticulously sealed in a sterile evidence bag, and dispatched with utmost priority to the lab for immediate, urgent analysis. These two leads, seemingly disconnected, a ghost-like image on old video and a microscopic strand of fabric, offered the first genuine directional compass in a case that had until this moment felt profoundly lost. A subtle, yet undeniable light pierced the suffocating darkness, promising the first tangible step towards unmasking the unseen force behind Sarah Jenkins' brutal demise. The results from the forensic lab arrived, a meticulously detailed report on the single enigmatic fiber that had been the first tangible lead. This was no common textile, the report confirmed. It was a highly specific blend of polypropylene and aramid materials, predominantly found in heavy-duty industrial work uniforms or specialized commercial vehicle upholstery. "This isn't something you just stumble upon," Detective Sharma observed, her finger tracing the complex chemical composition on the printout, a flicker of professional triumph in her gaze. Detective Riley's mind, a vast internalized database of criminal patterns and logistical probabilities, immediately shifted focus. His thoughts turned to local businesses, university contractors, and maintenance crews, anyone with sanctioned, often after hours, access to the expansive university grounds. Such a specialized fiber, he reasoned, strongly suggested a specific type of presence. The team quickly redirected their efforts, no longer searching for an anonymous specter, but for an individual whose profession inherently linked them to this unusual material. They initiated a painstaking cross-referencing process. The vague description of the dark sedan from the daily grind footage was painstakingly matched against vehicle registrations connected to campus staff and private contractors authorized to operate on university property. This laborious task demanded sifting through hundreds of records, methodically narrowing the vast field. The criteria were stringent vehicles matching the make and general appearance owned by individuals whose occupations or uniforms incorporated the specific fiber blend and, critically, whose work schedules permitted access to campus late at night. The initially extensive list began to shrink, compressing under the weight of precise, undeniable data points. From this winnowed data, a name finally surfaced: Kevin Thorne, 38. He was a night shift maintenance worker employed by a private contracting firm responsible for Crestwood University's janitorial services. Thorne owned a dark blue sedan, and his employer-issued uniform, a durable jumpsuit, was confirmed by internal company records to be made of the exact polypropylene aramid blend identified by forensic analysis. Furthermore, Thorne's work schedule demonstrably granted him legitimate access to various parts of the campus, including the Arboretum area well past midnight. His initial brief alibi given to campus security during the very first broad canvass had been conspicuously vague, merely a quiet night at home, nothing memorable. Now contrasted against the precise timeline of Sarah's disappearance, it appeared glaringly inconsistent. The scattered pieces, once fragmented and seemingly unrelated, began to coalesce with chilling precision. A surveillance team was immediately dispatched to their presence, a silent, patient shadow in the periphery of Thorne's life. They observed, meticulously documented his movements, and waited. A quiet net slowly tightened around him, poised for the opportune moment to bring him in for questioning. The hunt for Sarah Jenkins's killer, once blind and desperate, now had a distinct face and a name. The sterile, controlled atmosphere of the interrogation room stood in stark contrast to the raw, untamed violence of the crime itself. Kevin Thorne sat opposite Detective Mark Riley, his initial posture relaxed, almost disarmingly cooperative. He presented as a man of average height and build unremarkable in appearance, a quality he seemed to cultivate, designed to allow him to melt effortlessly into any background. Riley, adopting the measured, non-threatening cadence of a seasoned detective, initiated the exchange. "Mr. Thorne, thank you for coming in. We're simply trying to reconstruct the timeline for the night Sarah Jenkins disappeared. Every detail, no matter how small, can be helpful." Thorne's responses flowed smoothly, his voice even as if he were reciting a well-rehearsed script. He asserted he was home that night just watching TV, probably fell asleep on the couch, like most weeknights. His gaze met Riley's directly, yet held a subtle, unsettling flatness. When Riley gently pressed for more specific recollections, an almost imperceptible flicker crossed Thorne's face. He then recalled a sudden late-night urge for some air, a brief drive, but could offer no specific route, no destination, not even an approximate time. "Just clearing my head. You know how it is," he offered, a faint shrug, accompanying the vague explanation. His demeanor suggested a man with nothing to conceal, merely a memory clouded by triviality. Riley observed his quiet intensity, unwavering. He noted the fractional pauses preceding Thorne's seemingly natural responses, the way his eyes, though meeting the detective's, shifted just milliseconds too quickly. These were not the confident tells of innocence, but the subtle contortions of a mind actively constructing, recalibrating. Riley extended a common opening, a familiar tactic to build rapport. It's easy to overlook details when you're tired, isn't it, Mr. Thorne, especially late at night after a long shift? Thorne nodded, feigning agreement, his lips curving into a brief, unconvincing smile. The detective then slowly slid a photograph across the table, maintaining a neutral expression. It was a still image, blurry but discernible from the daily grind camera, a dark-colored sedan, a common make and model captured cruising slowly past the alleyway entrance near the Arboretum. This vehicle, Mr. Thorne, Riley began, his voice still low, but now imbued with a new subtle weight, was seen very close to campus at 11:47 p.m. Your car is a dark blue sedan, isn't it? Thorne's calm facade visibly fractured. A muscle twitched in his jaw. He cleared his throat. Could be anyone, he insisted, his voice betraying a faint, undeniable strain. He even attempted a show of contrived empathy, shaking his head slowly. Terrible thing that happened to that girl, truly awful. But the gesture felt hollow, performed. Riley recognized the shifting ground beneath Thorne's narrative, the subtle unraveling of a meticulously constructed web of plausible deniability. The threads were already beginning to fray under the calm, persistent pressure of the detective's measured inquiries. Quiet interrogation room was slowly becoming a crucible, and Kevin Thorne, despite his practiced composure, was palpably beginning to feel the heat. The news of Kevin Thorne's arrest, echoing across every local news outlet and permeating social media, sent a collective shiver of apprehension and relief through Crestwood University and the surrounding community. For many, a long-held breath finally exhaled, the ominous shadow of an unknown assailant, momentarily dispelled. Yet for Sarah's parents, Carol and David Jenkins, this breakthrough carried a bittersweet, almost agonizing paradox, a tangible movement toward longed-for justice, but also a brutal relaceration of their daughter's wound, a fresh and vivid resurgence of the horror that had claimed her. Carol Jenkins, whose life had largely been characterized by quiet dignity and steady self-possession, now walked with a new, unshakable resolve. Her sorrow, a constant heavy weight, visibly hardened into an unyielding determination to witness Thorne face the full measure of accountability. Her usually gentle eyes, though still shadowed by loss, now held a fierce, unwavering light, reflecting her transformation from a heartbroken mother into a fierce champion for her daughter. David, his grief a quieter internal storm, remained a constant presence by her side, his hand often seeking hers, a silent affirmation of their shared anguish and unbreakable purpose. The grand jury, acting with remarkable dispatch, given the prominence of the case and the strength of the initial evidence, swiftly issued an indictment against Kevin Thorne for the murder of Sarah Jenkins. This formal step irrevocably set the stage for a dramatic, high-stakes trial that would unfold under intense public scrutiny. The district attorney's office, a formidable and seasoned team, renowned for its painstaking case construction, immediately mobilized. Their overarching strategy was exceptionally lucid, almost clinically precise, to seamlessly intertwine the devastating forensic findings from Detective Riley's investigation with the compelling circumstantial links, fabricating an undeniable account of Thorne's culpability. Leading the prosecution was Senior Assistant District Attorney Eleanor Vance, a prosecutor known for her incisive intellect and an almost surgical precision in handling evidence. She scrutinized every facet of the case. "Our foundation rests on undeniable facts," she asserted to her team during one of their numerous strategy sessions. The polypropylene aramid fiber, distinct and beyond question, recovered from Sarah's jacket. the absolute correspondence of Thorne's work boot print, found at the exact site of discovery. These elements stand as direct evidence. They place him at the scene in physical contact with our victim. She elaborated on how these microscopic truths would be integrated with the broader narrative, the dark sedan captured by the Daily Grind camera, situating Thorne's vehicle near the crime scene within a critical time window. And most critically, Kevin Thorne's own constantly evolving contradictory statements during his interrogation, a tangled fabrication of deceit Vance contended that only a guilty party would attempt to weave. The prosecution's key witnesses would include Detective Mark Riley, whose calm, evidence-driven testimony would chronicle the exhaustive investigative journey, lending a pragmatic and authoritative weight to the factual discoveries. Forensic experts, their voices precise and dispassionate, would meticulously translate complex scientific data into irrefutable conclusions for the jury, presenting microscopic fibers and distinct shoe prints as silent yet powerful witnesses. Emotionally resonant testimony would be delivered by Sarah's distraught roommate, Chloe, and her professors, who would collectively paint a vivid portrait of Sarah's vibrant, promising life, emphasizing the bright future brutally extinguished. The prosecution aimed to construct not merely a legal argument, but a comprehensive, compelling narrative designed to eradicate any reasonable doubt concerning Thorne's culpability. The defense, however, prepared an equally fierce and strategic counteroffensive, marshalling its considerable resources. At its helm was Marcus Finch, a defense attorney renowned for his assertive tactics and his masterful ability to inject uncertainty into seemingly solid cases. Their strategy rested on systematically undermining the prosecution's meticulously built narrative. Finch and his team planned to relentlessly scrutinize the chain of custody for every piece of evidence implying contamination or mishandling. They would contend that the unique fiber could have been transferred through innocent contact, and that the boot print, while present, lacked sufficient specificity to conclusively implicate Thorne. Their objective was to depict Kevin Thorne not as a calculated killer, but as a disoriented, unassuming individual, coerced into incoherent statements by what they would characterize as aggressive, unethical police interrogation methods. Finch intended to aggressively expose every perceived flaw within the blue light trail system and the university's broader security infrastructure. He would argue vociferously that the institution's negligence, rather than Thorne's deliberate actions, had tragically created the very conditions for the crime. He would assert that an understaffed campus security force, a once touted emergency system that demonstrably failed, and insufficient lighting were the genuine contributing factors, thereby diverting culpability and obscuring the true nature of the crime. My client Finch would declare his voice, resonating with conviction, is merely a convenient scapegoat for a university desperate to absolve itself. The defense's singular aim was to dismantle the jury's confidence, to cultivate sufficient reasonable doubt to render a conviction unattainable. Courtroom, typically a somber stage for legal procedure, was thus transformed into a tense psychological arena. It would become a place where the precise weight of forensic evidence would collide with the manipulative artistry of narrative, where the raw grief of a devastated family would confront the cold, calculated strategies of a defense designed to confuse and dismiss. For Carol Jenkins, each day of preparation, every discussion with the district attorney, every quiet moment spent fortifying herself for the public spectacle of the trial, was an expression of boundless devotion, a living testament to her unwavering dedication to Sarah's memory. She understood the battle ahead would be protracted emotionally draining and agonizingly exposed, but her conviction remained absolute. Justice for Sarah, she believed, was not merely a legal outcome, but a sacred imperative. The trial of Kevin Thorne for the murder of Sarah Jenkins commenced with palpable tension, a heavy stillness that permeated every corner of the grand courthouse. Each morning, Carol and David Jenkins, their faces etched with a profound, quiet sorrow, took their seats in the front row of the public gallery. Their presence was a silent, unyielding testament to their daughter's memory, a tangible anchor of grief and grim determination amidst the stark legal proceedings. The very air in the courtroom seemed to thicken with the gravity of the accusations and the immense weight of the loss that had brought everyone there. Senior Assistant District Attorney Eleanor Vance, leading the prosecution, approached her task with a meticulous, almost surgical precision. Her opening statement was direct, compelling, and devoid of sensationalism, focusing solely on the unyielding strength of the evidence. "This case," she began, her voice clear and resonant, "is not built on speculation. It is built on unassailable facts. It is about a young woman's life brutally extinguished and the undeniable scientific footprint left by the person responsible." She laid out the prosecution's narrative, a compelling tapestry woven from scientific certainties and chilling circumstantial details. The first witnesses to take the stand were the forensic experts. Their testimonies, delivered in precise, dispassionate voices, peeled back the layers of the crime, exposing its microscopic truths. They presented the distinct chemical signature of the polypropylene aramid fiber, its exact match to Thorne's work uniform, displayed on large digital screens for the jury to absorb. The digital overlay confirming the unique tread pattern of Thorne's confiscated work boot, found deeply impressed in the arboretum's soft soil near Sarah's body, became an irrefutable visual testament. Each piece of physical evidence, once unseen, was now illuminated with unflinching clarity, a silent, powerful witness speaking volumes. Detective Mark Riley then took the stand. His testimony was calm, authoritative, and deeply procedural. He recounted the painstaking investigative journey, detailing the initial frustrating dead ends, the fortuitous discovery of the obscure surveillance footage from the daily grind, and the laborious process of cross-referencing vehicle registrations and employee records that ultimately led his team to Kevin Thorne. He presented Thorne's initial vague alibi, then methodically highlighted the inconsistencies that emerged under questioning, maintaining his professional detachment, even as he detailed the growing suspicion that had focused his team's efforts. Riley's testimony served as the backbone of the chronological narrative, grounding the scientific evidence in a tangible procedural reality. The defense, led by the astute Marcus Finch, immediately launched a fierce counterassault. Finch's cross-examinations were incisive, designed to chip away at the prosecution's certainty to introduce even a sliver of reasonable doubt. He challenged the chain of custody for every piece of evidence, subtly suggesting possibilities of contamination or mishandling. He pressed forensic experts on the potential for innocent fiber transfer, asserting that a single fiber, however unique, could not definitively prove a murderer's presence. He argued the boot print, while present, was from a commonly issued work boot, implying it could belong to any number of individuals with campus access. Finch's strategy was clear: to sow enough uncertainty to make a conviction impossible. Then Kevin Thorne himself, embodying the deceptive suspect persona, elected to take the stand. His decision hung heavy in the air, a calculated gamble. Thorne's voice was steady, almost placid, his demeanor outwardly composed, as he offered a carefully rehearsed, disingenuous account. He spoke of being in the wrong place, at the wrong time, of witnessing a commotion that had made him panic and flee. He maintained his feigned innocence, attempting to project a performative sympathy for Sarah, while deflecting blame onto an unknown, shadowy third party. His eyes, though meeting the jury's gaze, remained chillingly devoid of genuine remorse, a cold, empty facade that betrayed the carefully constructed narrative he presented. He twisted facts, omitted crucial details, and attempted to present himself as a victim of circumstance and overzealous police work. After days of intense testimony, the closing arguments began. Eleanor Vance, for the prosecution, delivered a powerful summation, her voice resonating with the weight of her words, invoking the memory of Sarah Jenkins's bright, promising future extinguished by a calculated act of violence. She meticulously tied every piece of evidence together, emphasizing the irrefutable links that painted a damning picture of Thorne's guilt. Finch, for the defense, hammered relentlessly on the concept of reasonable doubt, painting Thorne as a confused, simple man pressured into incoherent statements, and highlighting what he depicted as the university's systemic security failures. He urged the jury to consider the absence of a direct witness, the potential for human error, and the fundamental burden of proof resting on the prosecution. The jury, a diverse microcosm of the community, listened intently throughout the proceedings, their faces impassive, their thoughts meticulously concealed. As the final arguments concluded, the courtroom held its collective breath. The judge delivered his final instructions, and the jury retreated to deliberate. The waiting period that followed was agonizing, each minute stretching into an eternity. For Sarah's family, the silence was suffocating, punctuated only by the frantic rhythm of their own heartbeats. The campus, too, seemed to hold its collective breath, the fate of one man and the elusive promise of justice for Sarah hanging precariously in the balance. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, the word came: the jury had reached a verdict. Courtroom, packed to capacity, fell into a profound, almost absolute silence. Every eye fixed on the jury foreman as he stood, his face unreadable. He cleared his throat, the small sound amplified in the hushed space. We, the jury, find the defendant, Kevin Thorne, guilty of the murder of Sarah Jenkins. The single word, guilty, reverberated through the courtroom like a thunderclap, a raw, uncompromising declaration of justice delivered. For Carol and David Jenkins, it was not elation, but a profound, shuddering release of years of held breath, a deep, silent tremor of relief. Tears long repressed finally streamed freely down Carol's face as she clutched David's hand, his own eyes wet with unshed emotion. A collective gasp rippled through the gallery, followed by a wave of quiet, restrained murmuring. Kevin Thorne, however, remained impassive, his expression hardening into a chilling mask of defiant denial. The reckoning had arrived. The single word guilty ripped through the grand courtroom like a seismic shockwave, an uncompromising declaration of justice unleashed. For Carol and David Jenkins, their bodies trembling, it was not an explosion of celebratory elation, but a profound, shuddering release, as if years of agonizing uncertainty had finally exhaled in a single, ragged gasp. Tears long repressed and held captive by the crucible of the trial streamed freely down Carol's face as she instinctively clutched David's hand, his own eyes moist with unshed emotion, his jaw clenched against a nascent sob. A collective gasp rippled through the gallery, followed by a wave of hushed, restrained murmuring a shared acknowledgement of the verdict's immense weight. Kevin Thorne, however, remained chillingly impassive at the defense table, his features hardening into a cold, impenetrable mask of defiant denial, a stark, unfeeling counterpoint to the raw emotion surrounding him. The long-awaited reckoning had finally arrived. Across Crestwood University and the wider community, the verdict sent a complex ripple of reactions. An undeniable collective sigh of relief swept through the student body, a sense that the chilling specter of an unknown predator had at last been identified and contained. Students, many of whom had lived under a cloud of fear since Sarah's death, spoke in hushed tones of a painful form of closure, of a tentative return to some semblance of campus safety, though the inherent innocence of university life was irrevocably marred. Yet this relief was inextricably intertwined with a lingering trauma. The blue light trail, once a symbol of inviolable security, would forever bear the indelible stain of betrayal, a constant poignant reminder of Sarah's last fateful walk. The campus mourned collectively, its vibrant energy dulled by the indelible mark of violence, yet a fragile hope for healing cautiously began to emerge from the sorrow. Weeks later, the courtroom reconvened for the sentencing hearing, a procedural step that for Sarah's family transcended mere legal formality. This was to be their ultimate opportunity to address the man who had brutally stolen their daughter, to articulate the vast echoing void he had carved into their lives. The air in the courtroom was charged with a different kind of tension, now less about proof, more about consequence, about the final, unchangeable measure of justice. The atmosphere settled into an almost solemn reverence, the hushed expectation of the victim impact statements, lending a profound gravity to the proceedings. A profound silence descended, a collective breath held as the true weight of loss, transcending mere legal terms, filled the chamber. The objective lens of the narrative subtly softened, allowing the palpable grief in the room to resonate, conveying the deep, almost unbearable sadness that had settled over Crestwood. It was a moment of unadulterated human pain, observed, not merely reported. Carol Jenkins, her heart thrumming against her ribs, rose with David steadfastly at her side. She walked with a quiet, unyielding strength toward the podium, her hands, though visibly trembling, held steady as she clutched a single crumpled tissue. Her gaze, clear and resolute, fixed directly on Kevin Thorne, who sat motionless at his table. He briefly met her gaze, then subtly shifted his eyes away, unable or unwilling to bear the raw, unadulterated power of her anguish. Kevin Thorne, Carol, began, her voice, initially a low tremor, quickly gaining a steeliness that belied her inner turmoil. She was the grieving mother, yes, but now fully embodied the force of determined advocacy, her words direct, accusatory, and aimed squarely at the man responsible. You did not merely take our Sarah. You extinguished the laughter from our home. You stole her dreams of becoming an astrophysicist, of witnessing distant galaxies with her own eyes. You snuffed out the brightest star in our universe. Her words, carefully chosen and delivered with searing precision, resonated through the hushed room, painting a vivid, heartbreaking portrait of the girl Sarah had been and the woman she would never become. She was larger than life. Carol continued, her voice unwavering, a beacon of curiosity and joy. She loved hiking the fresh scent of rain on the campus arboretum, the thrill of solving a complex problem. Every single one of those moments, every future possibility, you utterly annihilated. She spoke of Sarah's infectious laugh, the way she would light up any room she entered, her thoughtful notes left for her parents, her steadfast loyalty to her friends. Carol detailed the agonizing emptiness, the constant physical ache that had become their daily companion since Sarah vanished. Our lives are now defined by a before and an after, she stated, her voice tight with suppressed emotion. Before you, we were a complete family. After your monstrous act, we are simply survivors left to navigate an unfillable chasm of grief. You tore a hole in the very fabric of our family that can never, ever be mended. Her words were more than a recitation of loss. They were a searing indictment, a testament to the irreversible damage wrought by one man's depravity. Carol's voice rose further, imbued with a righteous fury born of unspeakable pain. You must never again be allowed to walk the earth as a free person. Your freedom would be a profound betrayal, an unbearable insult to every innocent life, to every promise of safety that you so brutally violated. You deserve to spend every remaining day of your existence behind bars, contemplating the utter devastation you have unleashed. Her demand was unequivocal, a fierce, unwavering testament to the justice her beloved daughter deserved. Throughout Carol's powerful statement, Kevin Thorne remained outwardly unmoving. Not a single muscle in his face twitched. His eyes, though occasionally flickering towards the judge or his defense attorney, meticulously avoided meeting Carol's gaze for any sustained period. There was no visible flicker of remorse, no hint of regret, only a chilling, almost calculated blankness. His post-conviction demeanor, a stark performance of defiant denial, solidified into an impenetrable wall impervious to the raw, visceral emotion washing over the courtroom. He sat a grim monument to his own depravity, offering no apology, no sign that Sarah Jenkins's vibrant life or the anguish he had caused held any meaning for him whatsoever. Marcus Finch Thorne's defense attorney then made a final brief plea for leniency. He attempted to paint a picture of a troubled past of limited education and unfortunate circumstances, seeking to frame his client's actions as a tragic outcome of systemic failures rather than deliberate malice. But his words, though professionally delivered, felt hollow, almost impotent in the immediate wake of Carl's raw, searing anguish. The judge, his face grim with the weight of his duty, then delivered the sentence. His voice was steady, authoritative, as he recounted the jury's verdict and reiterated the profound gravity of the crime. He spoke of Sarah Jenkins, her promising life, and the devastating, far-reaching impact of her death on her family and the university community. He looked directly at Kevin Thorne. Mr. Thorne, for the brutal and senseless murder of Sarah Jenkins, I sentence you to life imprisonment without the possibility of parole. You will never again walk free. The pronouncement, a lifetime behind bars, brought a somber finality to the legal proceedings. For Carol and David Jenkins, it marked a crucial milestone, the culmination of a relentless, agonizing fight for accountability. But it was not, they knew, the cessation of their pain. The journey of healing would be a nuanced, lifelong endeavor, a daily navigation of a world forever altered by Sarah's absence. The echoes of her laughter and the chilling memory of her last walk would continue to resonate through their lives, a constant, poignant reminder of the justice painstakingly pursued and the enduring, unbreakable bond of love. In the quiet months and years that followed Kevin Thorne's conviction, Crestwood University embarked upon its own difficult yet resolute path toward restoration. Sarah Jenkins' brutal death, a wound that had torn through the very fabric of campus life ignited a fierce collective determination within the institution. The blue light trail, once merely a symbol of comfortable security, now stood as a poignant reminder, but also as a powerful catalyst for necessary fundamental change across the sprawling campus. The immediate aftermath of the verdict saw a fragile wave of emotional relief spread through the university community, yet it was relief tinged with lingering trauma. Students, faculty, and staff alike grappled with the profound cognitive dissonance of a place they cherished as safe being revealed as tragically vulnerable. Campus counseling services reported a surge in demand as individuals sought to process the deep-seated fear and sorrow that had taken root. Vigilance became the new currency of reassurance. Students, once carefree in their late-night movements, now walked with a heightened awareness, their eyes scanning the peripheries, a subtle tension underlying the usual academic bustle. The once familiar sapphire glow of the emergency boxes, far from being simply comforting, now served as a stark, ever-present reminder of what had been lost and what must be fiercely protected. The university administration, acutely aware of the shattered trust and the indelible stain on their reputation, responded with unprecedented resolve. They initiated a comprehensive overhaul of campus security protocols, determined to fortify Crestwood against any future threat. Hundreds of new high-definition surveillance cameras were strategically installed, not merely along the blue light trail, but throughout every pathway, every communal area, and every previously shadowed corner of the campus periphery. These advanced cameras boasted improved low-light capabilities and intelligent motion tracking, effectively transforming former blind spots into areas of constant watchful oversight. Lighting across the entire campus received a significant upgrade. Dim pathways were bathed in the bright, energy-efficient glow of new LED fixtures, turning once secluded groves into clearly illuminated corridors. The Arboretum in particular, which had been the silent witness to Sarah's final moments, received an extensive array of new illumination, its previously secluded edges now saturated in a pervasive protective luminescence. Furthermore, the university made a substantial investment in expanding its campus safety department. The number of uniformed security patrols was dramatically increased, their presence becoming an ever-present reassuring force, extending to every hour of the night. These patrols, equipped with enhanced communication systems and direct links to local law enforcement, became a tangible, responsive shield for the student body. The blue light trail itself underwent a significant re-evaluation. While the physical call boxes remained, their functionality was updated, linked to new faster response protocols, and integrated with a new university-wide mobile safety application. This app allowed students to instantly report concerns, discreetly share their live location with trusted contacts, and directly connect to campus security with a single tap, effectively turning every smartphone into a portable blue light beacon. The overarching vision was to create layers of interwoven safety, a comprehensive network designed to detect and deter any future threats before they could materialize into tragedy. Beyond the vital physical security, Upgrades Crestwood University sought to honor Sarah Jenkins's memory in ways that resonated with her enduring spirit and boundless potential. A scholarship fund formerly named the Sarah Jenkins Memorial Scholarship in Astrophysics was established, generously endowed by alumni, faculty, and community members. This fund ensured that Sarah's profound passion for unraveling the universe's mysteries would continue to inspire and propel future generations of brilliant students, carrying her intellectual light forward, even in her physical absence. A quiet, contemplative garden was also dedicated in Sarah's name. Thoughtfully situated near the very blue light she had tragically never reached at the edge of the arboretum, it became a sanctuary of remembrance. Adorned with a simple, elegant bench and a bronze plaque bearing Sarah's name and the dates of her life, it offered a peaceful space for quiet reflection. Students often visited leaving flowers, small heartfelt notes, or simply sitting in silent contemplation. It was a place where grief could be acknowledged, but also where the enduring spirit of Sarah and the university's renewed commitment to safety could be quietly affirmed, a living affirmation of her brief, brilliant existence. For Carol and David Jenkins, the legal outcome, while providing a necessary foundation, marked only the beginning of a long, arduous journey of emotional navigation. The verdict brought a measure of justice, a sense of accountability, but it could not by any means erase the profound void left in their lives. Their path toward solace, they quickly realized, was a nuanced, ongoing process, a daily negotiation with a world forever reshaped by Sarah's absence. Yet in their immense grief, they discovered an unexpected, powerful purpose. They began to connect with other victim families, sharing their stories, offering comfort, and forging a new community built on shared experience and mutual support. Their personal tragedy gradually transformed into a broader advocacy, championing enhanced campus safety initiatives and robust victim support groups, particularly focusing on how universities could better protect their students and provide comprehensive resources for those impacted by violence. Their pain, once debilitating, was now channeled into purposeful action, a living testament to the human spirit's capacity for growth, even amidst profound sorrow. The community, initially fractured by the shock and fear, slowly but demonstrably began to knit itself back together. It emerged stronger, more vigilant, and more profoundly connected. The shared experience of grief and the collective pursuit of justice had forged an unbreakable bond. The Blue Light Trail, once a network of cold, functional emergency boxes, was now recast with new purpose imbued with a profound, almost sacred meaning. It was no longer just a utilitarian safety measure. It had become a living symbolic path of remembrance, a collective promise. It stood as an enduring reminder that while darkness could indeed touch even the most protected spaces, the light of vigilance, communal support, and unwavering love would always strive to repel the encroaching shadows, ensuring that no student at Crestwood University would ever again walk that path truly alone. Sarah Jenkins's story, though tragically cut short, had transcended personal tragedy, becoming a catalyst for lasting change, ensuring her light, her legacy continued to guide and inspire for generations to come. The Blue Light Trail, forever marked by loss, now shines as a beacon of unwavering vigilance and enduring love. If the unwavering pursuit of justice that illuminates even the darkest campus paths resonates with you, subscribe to Shadow Files for more true crime investigations. Don't forget to subscribe to Shadow Files and hit the notification bell.